Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm George Grace Jr. Welcome to Wednesday evening, actually the last Wednesday evening of our season. Awful glad you could join us. A lot of good music lined up for you tonight. Miss Laurel Filzen Etzel will be playing a French horn solo, and our vocalist for this week is Miss Libby Moore. We got a lot of good music from Sousa to Irving Berlin and a lot in between. Good stuff. Good evening for a concert, so please welcome Libby Moore and Dr. David Vroman.
Thank you for joining us this evening. If you would please rise if you're able and join us in the singing of the national anthem.
Well, good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. This is our public service announcement. If you hear this noise, then all we do is just ask you to get up from the chairs, move back by the cars so that the train does not stop, and just do that repeatedly. We're going to start tonight with a march that was written back in 1889, and it was to promote an essay contest. Maybe we need to have an essay contest. And it was sponsored by the Washington Post newspaper, so the march has the original title of the Washington Post March. It was a popular tune not just in this country, but in Europe as well. And wherever the Sousa band would play, people would cry out for him to play this particular march. The critics thought it was one of the best marches he had ever done, and the way that we know him today as the March King is because a British journalist who heard all this music, and he said, you know, Johann Strauss, he was the Waltz King. This American guy, this John Philip Sousa, he is the March King. So this is Washington Post March. Well, when George did his announcements, he mentioned Susan. He also mentioned this next composer, Irving Berlin. And Irving Berlin, his family immigrated here, and he is somebody that, for composition and all the songs that he wrote and what we remember him for, he thought that that was his duty to write a song every day, and he worked at it. It did not come easily to him. So every single day, his goal was, by the end of the day, he would have another song done. Many of those songs have become very recognizable to many of us. If you go to the motion picture, Putting on the Ritz, that's what you'll hear in this medley. We'll start with that. And then from the radio motion picture, they called it Top Hat, you'll hear Cheek to Cheek. And then from Easter Parade. Now, how many people have seen Easter Parade, the film Easter Parade? You all need to see that by next summer. That's your assignment. That's your homework, okay? And you'll hear Shaking the Blues Away and also Steppin' Out with My Baby. And finally, from the stage production, Annie, Get Your Gun, you'll hear There's No Business Like Show Business. These are what we call Irving Berlin showstoppers. Irving Berlin, he wrote some great songs, that's for sure. You know, each week we feature a vocal soloist, and this week it is Libby Moore. You met her briefly tonight. She earned her bachelor's degree in music ed from Bradley University back in 2005, her master's degree in music performance from Illinois State University in 2011. She's done some teaching at Knox College as well as Eureka College, and she assisted with the Eureka College Choir Camp. She's currently an adjunct instructor at ICC, teaching voice and music approach and doing the concert choir over there. As a performer, she has sung with the Sugar Creek Symphony and Song, Opera Illinois, Peoria Bach Festival, Dramatic Crossroads, Peoria Players, Eastlight, and the list goes on. So she resides over in Washington, Illinois with her husband and 2 young children. Please welcome Libby Moore. Libby?
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back again this year. I'd like to start tonight with a saucy little song. You may have heard this song from The Muppets, or maybe Sesame Street, or Carmen Sandiego, or maybe even the Super Bowl. This is a saucy little song about love called The Habanera, and it's from George Bizet's Carmen.
Apprivoisé, et si bien avec la peine, si lui convient de refuser. Les faits me surprirent, non pas la bien l'autre sauter. Et si l'autre que je préfère, il n'a rien dit, mais il me plaît. Jamais connu de loi. Si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime. Si je t'aime, prends garde à toi. Si tu ne m'aimes pas, si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime. Mais si je t'aime, si je t'aime, prends garde à toi. Tu croyais si prendre, maudit dans l'aile s'envola. L'amour non tu peux m'attendre, tu ne l'attends plus, il est là. Toi, vite, vite, il vient, ça va, puis il revient. Tu crois le tenir vite, vite, tu crois la vite et il te tient. Jamais connu de loi. Si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime. Si je t'aime, prends garde à toi. Si tu ne m'aimes pas, si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime. Mais si je t'aime, si je t'aime, prends garde.
Thank you. To lighten and sweeten up the mood a little bit, I'm going to sing a piece for you called Vilia, and this is a story. It's from Franz Lehar's The Merry Widow, and it's a story of a mountain sprite. And there's a huntsman that comes to the woods to feed his horse and gets a drink for his horse, and the huntsman falls in love with Vilia. and she seduces him, and then he gets lost in this fairyland forever. And the story goes that he continues singing her song forever and ever in the woods. So here is Velia. There once was a Velia, fair mountain sprite. She danced on a hill in the still of the night. A huntsman came by who was comely and tall. His husband took grace by the cool waterfall. Suddenly he turned amazed, and suddenly he stood and gazed. Stern and echo with his sweet love tale. Velia, delight, haunting the woodland, enchanting the night. Velia, love me and I'll die for you. She welcomed the huntsman with widely hand, and soon they were lost in a strange fairyland. She kissed him, caressed him, and fled like a dream. He awoke alone by the cool running stream. Gypsies on a fireside still hear him calling far and wide. Stern vale, echo with his sad love tale. Velia, delight, haunting the
One of the neat things about a concert band is you can play all sorts of different styles. So we're going to change things up just a little bit. And maybe you've seen this film this summer. It had to do with a kind of a British glam rock band called Queen. Anybody heard of that group before? Queen? You ever heard of them before? That's right. They reached the top of the United States and the UK charts with songs like Killer Bee and Bohemian Rhapsody, Will Rock You, which will demand a little audience participation, by the way, and another one, Bites the Dust. This was a group that was formed back in 1970, okay, 1970. Some of us will remember that, and it was after a band called Smile actually failed, and so they came out. And it originally consisted of Freddie Mercury, and guitarist Brian May and drummer Roger Taylor. And they eventually added a bassist who was John Deacon. Became very popular through their singles. The first album they came out with was a huge flop, did nothing. And then the second album had one song on it, 7 Seas of Rye, which went to the top. And after that, then 15 studio albums, 5 live albums, numerous compilation, and even after they are gone, movies and things like that. So if you want to sing along, remember the rule, you have to sing in tune. That's all we ask. These are selections from Queen. Today's modern society offers you some different contacts that are around, and actually the composer of this next piece actually is written to both Laurel and myself. In fact, he sent me an email that said, "Good luck tonight on the concert. I hope it goes well." So the composer is a gentleman named Gary Kuo, and he wrote this piece. It was actually commissioned by the president of the International Horn Society, Jeff Nelson, who teaches over at Indiana University, and it was premiered back in 2015. And so it's something where you go to the composer and you reach out to him about the music, and it's been played all around the world now just in the last few years. Our soloist is Laurel Filzen Etzel. She's active as a freelance performer and conductor throughout Central and Western Illinois. And she's the assistant director, of course, for our band. But in addition to being a part of this group, plays as the third horn with the Knox-Galesburg Symphony, plays with the River Valley Brass Quintet, also a freelance musician all around Central Illinois. During the day, you can find her as the office manager for Central Illinois Ballet and for the Cornerstone Academy for Performing Arts. She did her bachelor's degree at Western Illinois University over in Macomb and a Master of Music degree in Horn Performance at Western Michigan University. She only goes to universities where Western is in the title, she told me. She will be playing Gary Kuo's Wingspan for solo horn and concert band. Please welcome Laurel. I didn't want to bring it up, but I'll ask a question tonight. What is the best instrument in the band? See, I didn't even have to bring it up. It was good. There was a gentleman a number of years ago, Charles Carter. He wrote for over 45 years, and his contribution to band literature is super significant. He got his Bachelor of Music degree at Ohio State University and did a master's at the Eastman School of Music. And after he graduated for Eastman, he ended up in Columbus, Ohio, and there he worked for the U.S. government. And what he did on the side was write for dance bands and show bands during that particular generation. It was in the fall of 1951 that the Ohio State marching band director came to him and said, you know, I like your arrangements. Maybe you would like to work at Ohio State, do some things here. And that was Manly Whipcomb. And for 2 years, he was at Ohio State. And then when Manly left and went to Florida State University, he took Mr. Carter with him. And then he was down there for 43 years writing music for various bands at FSU. So this is a Zodiac concert march. And you know what Zodiac means, right? Imaginary band in the heavens centered on the ecliptic that encompasses the apparent paths of all the planets and is divided into 12 constellations or signs, each taken for astrological purposes to extend 30 degrees of longitude. This is the Zodiac Concert March. Thank you so much. We have more for you in the second half. We're going to take a short intermission. You won't want to move because Lee Winger is going to come up and we'll do the drawing for the gift certificate, and we'll give you a little chance to visit before we come back and play more music for you. Please give Mr. Lee Winger a nice welcome to the microphone, would you?
Amazing what a well-placed $20 bill will do. Thank you, Dave, very much. All right, we're going to draw for tonight's winner. It is, as you can see in my hand, a Kelleher's gift certificate to Kelleher's, strangely enough. But before I do that, I will mention we have a new addition at the gate back there. I mentioned that we have these things and also our program guide for the rest of the week, which is Sunday. But Jim Haney has joined us back there from the Ancient Order of Hibernians, and they have chances on a trip to Ireland. trip to Ireland, and it benefits the Ancient Order of Hibernians, and of course, Aaron Fest, which is coming up the 21st, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 23rd, 24th, and 25th of August. So he is back at the table. He didn't get here in time for us to mention it before, but he's back there at the table during intermission. You want to go to Ireland, take a chance on that. The tickets are back there, and he will tell you all about that. All right. Denise Cooksey is going to draw it tonight because she's sitting right behind me. Thank you very much. Denise Cooksey, ladies and gentlemen. The winner tonight, the last one down here on Water Street for this year, Dorothy Crawford. Dorothy Crawford. I see someone rising. She's not headed to the bathroom. So come on up here and I'll give you this gift certificate. Meet somebody maybe you don't know, and that includes you folks out there in the bleachers. Say hello to somebody. Steve, yeah, everybody knows Steve Roach. Everybody say hi to somebody you don't know. Go down and see Jim Haney about those chances on the trip to Ireland with the Ancient Order of Hibernians. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We'll see you for the second half. There you go, young lady.
That was a piece that was commissioned for the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association District 5 Band Festival many years ago. And it was written by a gentleman named Claude T. Smith. And Claude T. Smith was a familiar name to all of us in the band business, and was really making his way and offering a lot of significant things when he unexpectedly passed away. So we still have some great music that he left with us and we're able to play. And that was a piece that's just simply called Allegheny Portrait. So that fits in for Pennsylvania. Earlier in June, we premiered this next piece that Chris Kennedy and the Band Commission spearheaded, and it's dedicated to the band sitting here behind me. And it's by a gentleman named Bruce Broughton. And Bruce Broughton has written for film, like for Silverado and that sort of thing. But he's written for hundreds of TV shows, literally, just for hundreds of them. And so you've heard his music, whether you know it or not. And he writes really challenging but fun to play kinds of things. So this is a little march that's entitled Invicta, which means invincible. Invicta. Quick reminder about Sunday evening, Glen Oak Park, 7 o'clock. That'll be our final concert of the 2019 season. And basically, we hand things off to all the different music ensembles that are around in the community and also in our schools. So it's kind of a handoff on Sunday night at 7 o'clock. We hope you can join us. It's been a pleasure to work with Libby Moore this week. Let's welcome her back and see what she has for us in the second half. Libby Moore.
Thank you. This last selection it's a medley of songs from the Broadway musical Oklahoma. If you're on the Broadway scene, you've probably heard Oklahoma was a 2019, won a Tony for the best revival of a musical. So you'll hear songs, Oh, What a Beautiful Morning, Many a New Day, of course, the Oklahoma Yippee-Ki-Yo song, and then People Will Say We're in Love. So if you know these songs, feel free to sing along with me.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. Oh, what a beautiful day. Many a new face will please my eye. Many a new love will find me. Never have I once looked back and sighed over the romance behind me. Many a new day will dawn before I do. Many a night lad may kiss and fly. A kiss gone by is bygone. Never have I asked an August sky where has last July home. Never have I wandered through the rye, wondering where has some guy gone. Many a new day will dawn. Many a red sun will set. Many a blue moon will shine. that glow like mine. People will say we're in love. Don't start collecting things. Give me my rose and my glove. Sweetheart, they're suspecting things. Strutters, nosy pokes will peek through their shutters, and their eyes will pop. The wheels are yellow, the upholstery's brown, the dashboard's genuine leather. With eyeglass curtains you can roll it down in case there's a change in the weather. Two bright side lights winking and blinking, ain't no finer ring I'm a-thinking. You can keep your rig if you're thinking that I'd keep two swap for that shiny little Surrey with the fringe on the top.
I think the person that's played the longest in this band is Bill Bohr over there. Is that right, Bill? Would you say you're the longest one? Can you stand up? Give him a round of applause, would you please? In his honor, we offer this up, a blast from the past. Bill Boer, ladies and gentlemen. Bill Boer. Stand up, Bill. This march that we have for you was composed in 1902, and it was published in 1906. And it's one of the standard American marches that are played all around the country and all really literally around the world. He composed this score in 1902. He was on a train tour with his family band. And he wrote this, and he became very frustrated with the ending, and he just tossed it basically into the trash can. But one of the family members saw him do that and retrieved it, and at the right time then they secretly rehearsed this march. And at one of the next stops then they went ahead and informed him that we saved that piece of music and we want you to hear it. It's actually pretty good. And so what we have today is a march that is based on the Star Spangled Banner, if you listen closely, and it's entitled National Emblem by Edwin Eugene Bagley. Well, we certainly appreciate your support, each and every one of you, and we know that many of you are regular attenders, and we know some of you get here when you're able to, and this might have even been your first time visiting with us, but we're glad you joined us this evening. Several people we want to thank. We want to thank Pat Sullivan and all the crew down here at Kelleher's putting out all the tables and everything. Give them a big round of applause. The man that makes us sound good, Mr. Todd Pilon, out there in the middle. And if you were at home watching TV, which I'm glad you're not, and you called up the Peoria cable station, you'd be seeing us on television because of that guy right there, Mr. George Bean. Give him a round of applause, okay? But always come. It's always live music's always better. Sorry, George. And then we want to thank our vocal soloist tonight, Libby Moore. Give her a round of applause. and our horn soloist, Laurel Filzen Etzel. Give her a round of applause as well. And then several people behind the scenes that make this thing go. First is all the band commissioners, so if you would give them a big round of applause, and we will see them in the morning for a meeting. And then Kristen Sheets, she's our band librarian. Laurel Filzen Etzel, she's our assistant conductor. George Graves Jr. is our band manager. Liz Driscoll does publicity. Carson Potts, he tweets. Frank Gutierrez is somewhere on vacation, and he does everything else for us. Give them all a round of applause. And then thank this band for all their hard work. Would you please? So one more concert. We hope you'll join us at Glen Oak Park on Sunday night at 7 o'clock if you're able, and we would look forward to seeing you there. We close as we always do, giving you a few moments to reflect on what a great country it is in which we live. This is America the Beautiful.